There's a misunderstanding of reality that is so glaringly obvious, so simple that it is incredibly deceptive to the mind. Because the mind is always looking for something more, something hidden, something to be interpreted there. And this is natural. This is just the way of the mind. It's not a problem. It just tends to lead to a misunderstanding of reality that creates a lot of unnecessary tension, so to speak. And that misunderstanding is the belief that anything is other than what it is. Everything is exactly what it is. It's just that we are telling everything what it is instead of letting it show us. Instead of letting it be and actually listening and seeing and experiencing. Because the reality of everything can only be experienced. It cannot be defined. And so we look at all these things and we say a tree is a tree, the sky is the sky, but we're not actually seeing them. Because even though we're saying a tree is a tree, we're not even listening to that statement. We have a definition for tree. It's not the labeling that's the problem, it's the defining that comes along with this label. The word is just a word. That is not an inaccurate word as a name. If we have looked around and asked everything to name itself, and the tree has said I am tree, and the sky has said I am sky, but instead of taking that as a name, which is essentially meaningless, it's just the word for this experience of being, we think that name means something else. And so we're making everything into that which it isn't. The definition of sin, it doesn't translate directly. It's not a word-to-word thing into English. But as far as I can understand it in my researching of this word, what it is intended to point to illustrate, because it's an illustrative definition, that of someone shooting an arrow and the arrow not hitting the bullseye, essentially the arrow not quite hitting the mark, not making the mark. It's misunderstanding, missing the point, a misperception, to think that you have gotten there when you haven't, to think that you've figured it out when you haven't. It's fundamentally misunderstanding. And so to say sin is anything other than sin would be a sin. Stick with me on this. To say that misunderstanding is anything other than misunderstanding would be misunderstanding. It is what it says it is. It is what it is. Sin is sin. Misunderstanding is misunderstanding. It is simply and purely that. And the real sin or misunderstanding is in looking around and trying to make everything into something that it isn't. To make misunderstanding into something else. To make sin into something other than what it is. It is only what it is. And this compulsion of the mind, this tendency of the mind to do this, to try to make things into that which they are not, this is where the delusion of good and evil misunderstanding isn't wrong. It's misunderstanding. There is nothing that is other than what it is. And you only need to look. This is not a conceptual, philosophical debate. You only need to look at nature. Is a tree ever anything other than tree? And look. Can you find bad? There are things that we can look out and we can see and say, yes, this is here. Fat is fat. Disease is disease. Suffering is suffering. But to call any of these bad or wrong or dangerous or unacceptable, that is a misunderstanding. That is putting something there that isn't there. Look again. Everything is what it is. Can you identify the bad in disease? Because you can see processes, you can see maybe bacteria, you can see happenings. Can you see bad? Can you isolate? Can you identify where the bad is in this? If you look at suffering, where is the danger? Where? Point to it. Can you find the danger in suffering? Have you ever seen danger or dangerous or bad or harmful or wrong or incorrect or unacceptable? Have you ever seen these things out in the wild alone? Have they ever appeared alone? Have you ever seen bad? Has bad ever presented itself as an actual reality to you in a way that is clear and obvious? There it is. There is bad. Because that which is real is very clear and very simple and very obvious. It simply is. There's no denying it. Have you ever seen bad without another condition attached to it? Have you ever seen it exist on its own? Has it ever demonstrated to you an actual reality that does not appear alongside an actual reality? It's an abstraction derived from experiencing what is in a manner that is not head on. When you're not looking at it directly, sometimes the mind sees things that aren't there. It sees the shadow of what is because the light of consciousness is not being shown directly upon what is. It's kind of skewed, it's tilted, it's at an angle, it's filtered through this lens, and now there's a refraction happening, and the mind is seeing something that isn't there. And it's interpreting. And it's placing more importance upon the interpretation of this illusion than what's actually there. Everything is what it is. It's so simple that the mind rejects it. Because there's nothing for it to do. There is nothing for the mind to do here. There's nothing to think about. There's nothing to interpret. There's nothing nothing. It's just what is. There is an infinitely rich depth of sensation to experience, but because it's not something the mind can grasp or touch, to the mind it feels empty. Everything simply is what it is. It's so simple, and it's so liberating. And it's the only way we can have an honest experience and perhaps discussion, as far as that's possible, about reality, about life, about what is happening. In the same way, you can look out and see, I have never seen bad. I have never seen wrong roaming around in the wild, clearly being what it is, because wrong is wrong, bad is bad, dangerous is dangerous, intolerable is intolerable. I have never seen these things alone. And now I become curious. Why is that? Do they have an actual absolute reality to them at all? Is there any reality to them all at all? Is it possible that I simply hallucinated these things? Because I look and they don't appear to be here. When I'm really looking, when I'm honest, I don't see them. And what else do I not see? I don't see good either. If I look out and I look for good and right, the way that I have defined them, can you see good on its own? Can you see correct? Can you see worthy? Removed from any other condition? Does it exist? Does it exist? Does it have any reality to it? That one can be harder for the mind to let go of. But when the desire is to tell the truth more than anything, because doesn't it make you curious now? Don't you want to know what's really here? If all this time we've been living in this abstracted, conceptualized fantasy of reality, which at sometimes we call a wonderful dream and at other times we call a nightmare, what happens when we wake up and look at what's really here? Aren't you curious? I think it's true that most people only are willing to follow this curiosity all the way through when they've felt more of the nightmare than anything. And this is another beautiful gift that suffering has for us. The misunderstanding of suffering will lead to more suffering, and presumably more misunderstanding of it, until such point that we cannot take it anymore, and we're ready to give it up. But giving up suffering is not what we think it is either. It's giving up of the predefining of suffering. Giving up trying to escape it. And what we don't realize is when we lose hope and we stop trying to escape suffering, we have a moment of total release. It's a release of the definition. It's a release of the story about suffering. It's just a pause where we're no longer telling suffering what it is, because the resistance to the suffering is in this story of it's terrible, it's awful, it hurts, it shouldn't be happening, it's bad, it's dangerous. If we didn't have that story, we wouldn't be resisting it. But telling that story also keeps alive the other side, the side of hope, the side of, beauty and goodness and rightness and all of that. And giving up that story is really challenging. And nobody is going to give that up on their own just to see what else is here. Only when the other side becomes so big and so loud, only when despair is the primary, do we lose the will to keep telling the story altogether. And it's not even the first time, the first several times are not really conscious, they're not really deliberate, it just happens. In a moment of deep despair where suffering is all that you can see, it has finally gotten so big that you cannot find hope, and you haven't found hope, and it's been days, weeks, months. And you are well and truly in hopelessness, that you have a moment where you're just really honest with yourself. You say, this is all that I can see. I cannot see a way out. And for a second there, you give up. You stop looking for a way out. And the moment you stop looking for a way out, you have created space. Without knowing it, perhaps, you have accepted what is. Without realizing, you are relaxing into it. Just by not resisting it because you've given up the hope of resistance. Because you've been doing that for some time. This is the amazing thing of suffering. It will wear you down. It's not an enemy. It is perhaps our greatest ally. It has heard us say where we want to go. It's heard us say we want true peace. We want true joy. We want truth. We want to really understand. We're tired of the seesaw. We're tired of the story. We're tired of the race, the struggle, all of it. Suffering hears that. That calls it closer because it is the gateway to the release of struggle. The release of all of that. It's the door to the peace that we want, to the joy that we want, to that which is not dualistic, that which knows no opposite. And so isn't fighting, isn't struggling for dominance. It just is. This is peace that is peace. Peace that is what it is. Peace that is not the absence of disturbance. That's not peace. It's right there. If you are defining something as something other than what it is, you have created an abstraction, an interpretation, a conceptualization. That's not it. That's not the real thing. But the real thing is so much stranger, because to say peace is peace, the mind goes, well, what does that mean? The mind can't know what that means. Only you can, by the direct experience of it. And when you directly experience the reality of peace as peace, you go, I get it. I get it. This is peace. And there are no other words. I can't put any other words to it. It's peace. That's what it is. I would be misdefining it to give it any other definition than this. Joy becomes joy. Not an absence of sorrow. Sorrow no longer interferes with joy. Nor does joy interfere with sorrows. And here's the other magical thing is sorrow becomes simply sorrow. Suffering becomes simply suffering. And you see in the actual direct experience of those things, no longer calling them bad, wrong, unacceptable, intolerable, but experiencing the reality of sorrow, experiencing the reality of pain, of misery, of suffering. You can't put it into words. But you realize through the experience, oh, this isn't anything like I thought it was. This isn't bad. Really, truly, this is not bad. This is not dangerous. This doesn't even hurt the way that I had been saying that it hurts. This isn't something unwanted. In my honest experience of suffering as suffering, of sorrow as sorrow, of even fear as fear, of rage as rage, and letting those things then be what they are and reveal themselves experientially, the experience teaches you, I don't need to fight this. I don't even want to fight this. There is nothing wrong here. There's nothing bad. There's nothing dangerous. In fact, I am enjoying, I'm not even trying. I'm not trying to enjoy this experience. I'm enjoying it. As I am experiencing rage directly as rage, as I am experiencing suffering directly as suffering, and it's revealing itself to me, joy is just rising. Enjoyment is happening. It's just rising from me. There's no trick. There's no magic to it. This is reality. If we just stop making things into other things and we let them be what they are, which is a mysterious thing to the mind. So to say suffering is suffering and not be defining suffering, you don't have a choice but to go into that experience and actually feel it. If you want to know what is really there, if you want to know what suffering really is, what it's really like, you have to stop defining it and let it be felt. And it will show you, and this other dimension will open up. It's like the unfurling of a landscape. So all of these concepts that we have of emotions, of sad, of happy, of pain, of anger, of fear, we tend to dwell in this very flat, surface level world where all of the emotions we're not even actually experiencing. We're experiencing the conceptualized, abstracted version of them that the mind has created. Because the mind, when we're in the mind, we're experiencing ourselves as looking down, as if we are beyond, we are removed from this emotion. We're somehow separate from it, right? We're apart from it. And it's like, this is just a kind of analogy. It's like we're looking down at them. And when we're looking down at this mysterious thing and we're not right next to it, all that we can do is see a snapshot. is experience the snapshot that the mind has taken of like an instantaneous flattened moment of this feeling. And it gets defined, it gets categorized because it's this flat picture. It's not the living feeling, it's not the reality of the experience of that emotion. It is the definition that we have been given of that emotion. And I do think it's natural that this happens when we are children because the sensation is overwhelming. And if we're not in a space where we're helped to feel safe in fully feeling a feeling, then we will just flatten it and tuck it away. And I think that's true for most people. This isn't something that's gone wrong. This isn't like bad parenting, or this is the result of an egoically driven society that has been headed this direction for a long time and is terrified of emotion because we don't understand it, because the mind can't understand it. And it has labeled all emotion as something other than what it is. So sad becomes bad. We've categorized everything, right? Into positive and negative. And even positive and negative, we say internally mean good and bad. And so all of these emotions have been categorized. They have been called something other than they are. Now sadness is negative. Now anger is negative. Now happy is positive. By definition, looking at this is A is not B. A does not equal B. A is A. A is fucking A. B is B. This is not... So the mind flattens feelings. And it takes a picture, and this picture is a clearly defined little box. And it says this, it labels it, this is happiness, this is sadness, this is heartbreak, this is jealousy. You know, it'll get detailed in its divisions of things, but they're all labeled and neatly tucked into these boxes, and they're all separate, right? They're not allowed to even really interact. But the reality of the experience of emotion is nothing like the snapshot that the mind has taken of it. It is the difference between the map and the landscape. And when you stop looking at the map, you will be in the landscape. The next time you feel something and your mind labels it and says this is anxiety, this is suffering, this is anger, this is frustration, it's agitation, it's whatever. Okay, fine. That's fine. Not a problem. Then just pay attention to what the mind is really saying. What is it implying? What's not being said here? The story that's unspoken. Is it saying this is bad? Is it saying I don't want this? Is it saying this shouldn't be here? Or this is dangerous? Just notice if that's happening. And then step back into this just is what it is. Anger isn't bad. Anger can't be bad. Anger can't be anything but anger. Depression can't be dangerous. It cannot be anything but depression. It is what it is. Suffering is just suffering. What happens now? What happens if I stop telling suffering what it is and I let it reveal itself to me? What happens when I get curious enough, reckless enough, whatever, desperate enough to say, okay, suffering, I know that I don't like being told who I am. So I'm going to stop doing that to you. Show me. Show me. What is suffering? Because it's not anything that my mind can come up with. It's not anything that my mind can come up with. The reality of suffering is something stranger and unimaginable to the mind. So, what is it? So show me. Only I can go there into this experience. Suffering, what are you really? I know you're suffering. So, show me yourself. And as you open to it, you will feel it draw you in, kind of take you by the hand, and it will reveal itself to you. And you will feel there is a shift from this flat, horizontal, two-dimensional experience to a realm of verticality where you are next to the emotion. You are with the emotion, not above it, not outside it, with it. And standing eye to eye, looking directly, making eye contact with it, you will see that it is alive and it is in motion. It's breathing, it's moving, it's dancing. And you will be swept, you will feel yourself swept into a dance with this sensation now. And you will know suffering is nothing like you thought it to be. Anger is nothing like you thought it to be. Fear is nothing like you thought it to be. All of these emotions that we have defined are nothing like we think them to be. They are what they are, but we can't know what they are. The mind can't know. We can only experience them. And the direct experience reveals them to be something strange and miraculous and thoroughly delightful. And that's just what they are. It's just, you will move into this vertical dimension and recognize you've never even scratched past the surface of this feeling. The surface was where all the scary stuff was. That's the depth, the reality of this. It is indescribable. It's indescribable. It's a living, breathing landscape that is undulating around you and through you and with you, and very much conscious of you, present, aware of you. You are sharing this space together. It's like you have to be willing to go there alone without the mind. It has to be just you and the sensation, you and the emotion, the feeling. And when you do that, when you agree to be alone with the feeling, it will unfold, it will undress for you. And you'll just stand there marveling at it, going, what? All this time thinking the thoughts that I thought about this is, suffering is not something to be afraid of. It's not bad. It's not even scary. It's not even like dark down there, really. It's alive. And experiencing emotions means letting them touch you. It is a sensual experience. It's intimate. And all we got to do Of course, it is so simple. It just takes practice. It's continuous practice is what this is. Stop making things into other things. Let them be what they are. And when you let them be what they are, you will realize they're strange and mysterious. You can't define them. You have to experience them. That's the only way to know them. There is no knowing them otherwise. So if you want to know anything that's here, you have to experience it directly. And that means you have to stop telling it what it is. You have to stop living just the story about it. Just the preconceived notion, the mentally created abstract definition. What other people told you. Everything is what it is, and what it is indefinable, but directly and intimately experienceable. That's it. I'm going to go inside. That's all I have to say. I love you. Take it easy.